That committee was under the leadership, and you're right, Ed, you can't say no to Mike. He was relentless in his pursuit of making this happen. And we thank him for that relentless attitude and that relentless spirit and that drive. Give Mike Ropell and Carol Lawrence a round of applause as they come up and present their remarks.
This is a great day. Great day. It was a great day 20 years ago when we stood here proud of what we had accomplished. Well, we're standing here 20 years later with that same proudness. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to break salutation protocol, and I'm going to say to the veterans, to the veterans, to the veterans, to Mr. Generals and the military dignitaries, Mr. Blockson, Mr. Cosby, Mr. Mayors, welcome guests, to my Prince Hall brothers, to Congressman Shaka Fattar, and finally to Senator Vincent Hughes. I mentioned him last because his staff did a great job. They worked hard. They were organized. Give them a hand. They worked tirelessly. They worked tirelessly. Oh yes, they were pained every now and then, but they got the job done. I am Michael Ropell, President of the All Wars Memorial to Colored Soldiers and Sailors, formerly committee to restore and relocate the All Wars Memorial to Colored Soldiers and Sailors. Well, we don't need that name anymore because not only has it been restored, it has been relocated. Well, there's no need to say that for every event and project there needs to be a point or engine. Back 20 years ago, they kept saying, well, they're going to move the statue. They're moving that to a new location. Well, you're looking at they.
All right.
And
Committee.
my committee members, and each one of them had a role. Audrey Johnson Thornton, Belmont Mansion. Please go out and visit the mansion. I think she found some railroad tracks or something under the mansion. Reverend Ray Moon, he was the one that kept me in line. You always need a good lawyer. Lowell Thomas. And we have a suburban liaison, Kenneth Bond. You know, he lived out in the suburbs somewhere, but we needed some kind of communication out there. And John Stevens, very knowledgeable, very historic. And we had Hayes Wimbley, who's not here. Cody Anderson, he was our communication person. Cody walked me around to all the different associations to prove that we were for real for what we wanted to do. Robert Williams was the military, he was the veteran of Henry Hopkins Post. I don't think he's here. And then we had Naomi Nelson, who was an advisor to the committee. And I know she's here, if she just waved her hand. We had 3 other members over the 20 years who passed away. Martin Barreau, Charles Dowling, Ernesta Ballard. Take a moment of silence. Okay. All right, my job here is to tell you about the process that it took to move that here. And I'm going to go through this rapidly. And the credits is not going to be like a movie where the credits are at the end. The credits is in the story. So any name or organization you hear in the story, that's who helped us out. And a lot of folks helped us out. Carol Lawrence discovered that monument. She was working in the arts and cultures department for the city. And she had thousands of files that she was going through, and she found this file, or several files, on the All Wars Memorial to Colored Soldiers and Sailors. And she thought it was interesting, so I don't know why she brought it to me, but she brought it to me to see what I could do with it. I said, Carol, I don't have that kind of juice. So I turned to and that's why I didn't mention his name, to my Grand Master at the time, Roland K. Lee. And Roland said, well, let's do it. So from the three of us, we formed the committee. And each one of the people that you saw in the committee had a role on the committee. And that's how we put the committee together. At the same time, I had left Nutter's office. At the same time, my director, and she's here, had to come to a meeting about reconstruction of the Logan Circle. So I gave her the files, and she read it. And she was tickled pink at some of the writings from the New York Times, the Tribune, the Inquirer, I think it was the Ledger, about how Pennsylvania and Philadelphia disrespected their colored soldiers. Because the monument was built in 1927, and it took 7 years to even find a location. And they found a location in the back of Memorial Hall. So, and that's where I went with Carol, and I couldn't believe it. Well, Barbara went to a meeting, and she said, one of my staff members has a group that want to put a monument in Logan Circle, and I think it needs to be there. And when she said that, that message went all the way to room 215. That message went all the way to room 215.
We got the message.
Back to the story. Barbara Kaplan, could you just wave your hand? My old director, planning director for the city of Philadelphia. She said, Michael, go make it happen. And that's what I did. We talked with Penny Bach, at the time Fairmount Park Art Association. Now it's the Association for Public Art. And they have a website. I want everybody to go to that website called Museums Without Walls. And look at the slideshow, and you'll get the whole history of that monument. Okay, we met with Mayor Ed Rendell, and he said, I will spend the money to restore it. You take care of the maintenance. So that is the mission of our committee. And we're getting ready to expand the committee, because later in my dissertation, I'm going to talk about our campaign. We also had to go to several boards for approval. Fairmount Park, Art Commission, Historical Commission, PICA. Folks who don't know about PICA, PICA is a state-run organization that tells Philadelphia how much money they can spend or can't spend. At the Fairmount Park Commission meeting, there was a brother who was on the board, and we were there, and he wanted to bring up the subject of affirmative action. So I had to pull him over to the side and say, this monument is affirmative, and we are the action. So you say that for the next project to come along. We contacted the vendors. Steve Taddy out of New York City, George Young with the Brickwork, South Philly. They gave us a price of, well, let's help these people price. It wasn't a city of Philadelphia contract. at the time. So we saved the city, I believe, hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. Piece by piece, Steve Taddy took that monument apart. Most pieces no bigger than your hand. Moved it to Connecticut, to his studio in Connecticut. George Young took the stones to South Philly. And Mayor Ed Rendell said, I want that completed and celebrated in 1 year. And it was done in 1 year. It's probably the fastest project the city's ever done of that magnitude in 1 year. We had the largest Veterans Day parade you could imagine. It stretched from Roland Spring Garden back past Community College. Matter of fact, Karen Warrington at the time, I believe, was at Community College. She came out complaining. No one notified the school. You're disrupting our students. You're blocking the streets. When we got down to Broad and Race, I turned around. They had snatched her into the parade. We had our committee, and then we had almost all elected officials in the parade. We had city department, police chief, the fire chief. We had the sheriff. We had all major elected officials in that parade. Okay. All right. When we dedicated the monument, we found Doris Holliday. She was 10 years old in 1934 when she unveiled the monument. We found her and she was to unveil it 20 years ago. But the tarp got stuck on the top, that little point up there, it got stuck on the top. And I remember John Street, he was president of city council, jumping up in the air and snatching it. And when he landed on the ground, it fell. And the cheer that you heard, you thought the Eagles had scored. So our mission is to raise 50 years of maintenance fee for this monument. And it starts today. And some of you who have programs, there's an envelope in there to the Philadelphia Foundation. We have a fund, a maintenance-only fund at the Philadelphia Foundation. So the money that goes into the Philadelphia Foundation, the only money that can come out of that foundation is for the maintenance of that monument. So we don't touch the money. It goes straight to the Philadelphia Foundation. It's at 1234 Market Street, for those who don't have the booklet. And checks only. Put your name on the envelopes. And, well, we have a representative from the Philadelphia Foundation here today who will take the cash. Tom Lesko. He's around here somewhere. There he is. He's waving his hand right over there. Yeah. That will start our program for, and we hope when we come back Memorial Day, May 30th, we'll have reached our goal so that we don't have to worry about the maintenance of this monument for the next 50 years. So you will be hearing from us all different kind of ways, communication. When you hear about All Wars Memorial, please make a donation. Thank you. Okay, next on the program, I want to introduce my Grandmaster.
Prince Hall Masonry, or Black Masons, have been in existence in Pennsylvania since 1815. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure to present the 102nd Most Worshipful Grand Master of Prince Hall Masons in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Honorable Joseph Bernard Jefferson, Grand Master.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much. To Mr. Mayor, former Governor Ed Randell, Senator Vincent Hughes, and other dais guests. And to all my sisters and brothers out there, once again, good morning.
Good morning.
My task is very simple. I'm just going to give you a little bit of history on the All Wars Memorial. However, before doing that, I just want to acknowledge Mike Ropell, past Most Worshipful Grand Master Roland Kenneth Lee, and to all my brothers and sisters that worked on the committee, and to those of you that I showed up here. You know, Mike asked me if he said, "You think we can get them together, Grand?" I said, "We'll do the best we can do," and I know that's going to be 110%. I have my grand worthy matron, Wanda Pryor Jones, off to my left somewhere, my sisters, and the grand worthy patron, I believe. In 1927, this monument was commissioned by Samuel Beecher, an African-American Pennsylvania legislator, as a tribute to our ancestors for their bravery in every war this country has been engaged, from the French and Indian War to the present. It was not erected until 1934. When completed, the powers to be did not feel it should be placed where the world could see blacks of the country being honored. So instead of being placed in its original location, it was placed in an obscure, lonely, desolate, deep place in Fairmount Park. There it stood for 60 years. But in the administration of Mayor Ed Randell, with the urging of such as Joe Sertain, managing director at that time, Roland Kenneth Lee, past Most Worshipful Grand Master, and Michael Ropell, to name a few, relocated this glorious and inspiring tribute to its rightful location. On that day, the Prince Hall Masons proudly marched down Broad Street to this location in honor of our black military heroes, and every year thereafter participated in Veterans Day programs. In closing, let me say this. We celebrate the past, we look at the past, and let's continue and move into the future and support the efforts of this Veterans Committee. To all the veterans, God bless.
Happy Veterans Day. How you feeling?
How are you?
We didn't forget you. I saw you felt like, what about us? Well, guess what? It's all about you. And before I get to our next presenters, can we just give a round of applause for the wonderful young man, Zamir Brunson, from the Girard Academy of Music program. He did that, didn't he? Let's encourage him. And he's accompanied with his trumpeter who will come with you later with taps. And we just want to acknowledge Eddie Jenkins. We just want to acknowledge him also. So now you're in for a real treat. Okay, we have young people to the stage. Young people who are excited about the monument. Young people who are excited about you veterans. And I went to them and said, I need you to do a little something, give them some spoken word. And you know what they told me? They researched. Young people, they did some research. And they wrote from their hearts, and it blew me back. So I need you to just hold on to your seats and get ready for the dynamic students from the Discovery Charter School. We have Arian Johnson, Mackenzie Freeman, and Kalia Singletary. Welcome as they come to the stage.
They told blacks they had unrealistic expectations in life. But back then we weren't interested in a realistic life. They stand blue like whites were the only militants that fought for our rights. But they failed to realize hundreds of thousands were losing their lives. No disrespect, but you get what you expect. So in my eyes, our veterans deserve some respect. Y'all praise slave masters with wives, bullet guns and knives, the freedom where it was shipped on, the baby that was beat on, the shirt that it ripped on, the body that it whipped on, the blood that it dripped on, the reason our world was reborn.
That they fought for the town on July 4th, 1776, it finally arrived. Millions died, a few survived. The veterans beat the odds, and the U.S. nation finally realized.
It's important to thank the needy. 7th Year War, Paris Treaty, the Vietnam War and the Desert Storm, fight of World War I and II, United States were formed, 13 colonies were born, the Korean War, the Spanish American, most of the veterans were African American, Iraq and Afghanistan, the invasion of the Taliban.
It's time we praise our veterans and take a stand. Heroes like Austin Dabney, he fought in the war. Significant African American who deserve much more. Peter Salem, another black man, fought in the war and did all he can. James Armistead Lafayette fought and came back. But no one is really familiar with these people's names because anyone who was black was considered a slave and they were only in the war for a simple trade. So they really didn't matter. Each day got so sadder and sadder.
Monuments built over tears that were spilled, from souls filled with anguish and guilt, from not burying their fathers with honor, a nation's dishonor, carried by their daughters and mamas, keeping them honest, restoring a promise to all the colored soldiers and sailors, from Fairmount to Broad and Erie, from Tasker to G-Town, from Mount Erie to Uptown, from West Philly to downtown, 1927 to right now. We continue to fight. We hold our soldiers in a commemorative light. This is the land of the invincibles, our living superheroes standing on the monument of devotion and principles.
Pushing our way to glory, we are honored to stand in this story. We are from the flesh of survivors, unselfish providers, the true ride or diners. We breathe, inspired,
We breathe,
enlightened,
We achieved.
united. Because of you, we stand
Higher.
higher.
higher, higher. Because of you, we stand higher.
Let's give it up for her! And I just want to say one last thing about our young people. Technically, they have off today. They could be home with a bowl of Fruit Loops on a smartphone talking about dumb stuff. But they came out here today and they dedicated their time to dedicate it to you and our colored soldiers and sailors. Let's give it up for them.
Well, I feel sorry for the person who's got to follow that. Where's the chief? Chief Justice? Well, the only person who can follow something like that is the ultimate power in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and that would have to be the Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court. Chief Justice Ron Castile was appointed as the 55th Chief Justice in 2008 here in Pennsylvania. He was elected as a justice to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in 1993. He served in combat in Vietnam as a rifle platoon commander and was awarded the Bronze Star with Combat V for bravery, 2 Purple Heart medals, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, Presidential Unit Citation, Naval Unit Citation, and Combat Action Ribbon. Please welcome the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Chief Justice Ronald D. Castile.
Hoorah! Hoorah! Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Hughes, for making me come right behind that beautiful